In this lesson, we'll be discussing using the extrude command. If you'd like to follow along with this video, please open the file 0502 using the extrude command.dwg located in the Working Files folder as discussed in the Working with this dataset video. You use the extrude command to create 3D models from geometry representing a 2D profile of that model. When you extrude a profile, a model is created at a specified distance and direction between the original planar profile and a projection of that profile. You create a solid model if you select a single closed loop object. If you select an open loop geometry or a closed loop composed of separate objects, you create a surface model. Extruding geometry representing a profile of a desired model is an easy way to create a multi-sided model. This method of solid model creation can be quite a bit faster than creating and combining primitive solids. You'll be much more productive and successful in extruding profiles if you know how to use the extrude commands and its options to control the model's creation. Before we begin the extrude command, let's see what our delObj variable is set to. This variable again controls what will happen to the 2D geometry we are going to use to create the extruded objects. It's set to 0, which means it will retain the 2D geometry, and we can later use this if we need to. If your delObj variable is not set to 0, set it to 0 now. The extrude command is located in the Home tab Modeling panel Extrude command. We'll go ahead and select it. And the first thing we want to do is extrude this archway that we want to create. I'm going to select two objects, and if we zoom in a little farther, you'll notice these objects are closed polylines. I'll press Enter, and notice how the extrude command immediately begins with the ability to set the height. I can type in a height right now. There are also some command line options, which we will learn about in a minute. But let's just go ahead and simply snap to this other object that I have, and we can get that object right to the elevation that we want. And there's our archway posts. We will create this part of the archway using the sweep command in a future video. Next, let's go ahead and look at this circle. I've got this circle that I would like to extrude along this path. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and first change my layer to G-Obj1, and we'll start the extrude command. We'll go ahead and pick the object, press Enter, and notice how it immediately begins extruding. However, we would like to use this path. So here is the path option within the extrude command. I'll go ahead and select my path, and there is the extruded object. So as you can see, you can get some really complicated objects just by using the extrude command with the command line options. I have this object right here, which is a solid. I'm going to use this object to extrude as well. We'll click Extrude, pick the solid, press Enter, and notice how it immediately begins extruding. Let's say for this one, we want to define a taper angle of some sort. We'll go ahead and select the taper angle option, and notice how you can actually physically define the taper angle if you want to, or of course you can type it in as you need to. I'll type an angle of 20, press Enter, and now notice how it automatically applies a 20-degree taper to the entire object, and then we can define the height. And there's our tapered object. Again, very easy ways to create some complicated objects. I'll go ahead and use this region to extrude as well. So again, it does not have to be basic geometric objects like circles and squares. It can be anything. We'll go ahead and click the extrude command, pick this object, press Enter, and we'll go ahead and just set a height of 5, and then Enter. And there's our extruded object. Again, all kinds of curves and lines and splines in there. It doesn't matter. Lastly, let's take this rectangle and extrude it. But let's say, just to show this option, I want to make a surface out of this. You notice here in the command line window, there's actually an option to set the mode. We'll go ahead and click that. And I want to change this to a surface option. Now, when I extrude, we'll get a surface out of this instead. So we'll go ahead and type a distance of 2, press Enter, and now this is an AutoCAD surface. So as you can see, using the extrude command can get you whatever kind of objects you want by simply creating the 2D profile that you want to start with.